the kinds of debates that are going to be long and hard in Washington over dollars, how to do it, what to do. Is the technology ready to go for that kind of a next-generation space vehicle that will move us into the 21st century? Or do you just fly shuttles and another replacement for the next 20 years? Clearly, the 3 shuttles that exist will be flying again. They have to, because of the need to get up to the space station, and the shuttle being such an integral part of that process. Now, besides what's going on here and at the NASA offices and headquarters and out in Texas, the folks out at the Visitors Center here, lots of people have been coming to pay their respects. It is a big weekend, as always, big weekends out at the Visitors Center, and that's where we find CNN's Gary Tuchman.
Hello, John. We are eyewitnesses to an overwhelming display of sadness and sorrow here at the Visitor Center at the Kennedy Space Center. Thousands of people have turned out to pay their respects. You can see right now this is a line of about 75 people, and it's been constant all day. People who are going in this direction to this table to sign condolence books that have been placed there. Can I ask you a quick question? Where are you from?
Merritt Island, Florida.
Merritt Island, Florida, which is near here. Tell me what made you decide to come out here today.
We just wanted to come out and pay our respects to the people that lost their lives.
When you sign the book, which you'll do in about 3 seconds, what are you going to write in the book?
Just our hearts and prayers are with the families of those that were affected by this tragedy.
Thanks for talking with us. Right next to us is the memorial wall. This is the astronaut memorial wall with all the names of the U.S. astronauts who died in service of their country. 10 names of people who died in the Challenger disaster and the launch pad fire back in 1967. 7 names from people who died on test flights before they ever got into space. And what you can see when you walk a little closer there on the bottom of the memorial wall is a picture of the 7 Columbia astronauts who lost their lives yesterday. Their names will soon be on this wall too. And in front, when the stage started, there were very few flowers here. Now you can see flowers, you can see flags, you can see signs like this one right here. This one says, "To Columbia's heroes and their families, you're in our hearts and prayers always," and it's signed by a family of 6 people. Lots of people who have come here today are people who were here yesterday hoping to see the landing of the Space Shuttle Columbia. It's been a very sad visit for those people who were here yesterday for that and are now here today for this. Back to you.
So we are back, of course, here at the Kennedy Space Center, and we expect that those tributes are going to continue to grow throughout the days and certainly the weeks ahead. We know that here at the Kennedy Space Center, there will be a planned tribute later in the week, perhaps. They haven't set the dates for a public memorial, but those are the kinds of things that we will likely be seeing across all of the NASA centers in the days and weeks to come. So from the Kennedy Space Center, back to you, Miles.
Hey, John, a quick question. You were talking about, the possibility of a replacement orbiter or taking that same amount of money and putting it toward a next generation. Last I checked, the price tag for an orbiter is about $2 billion. Did you get the sense from talking to Congressman Weldon that there's the will in Congress to put that kind of money up for the space program?
That's the question. He says it's going to be a very hard and very difficult debate, and he wonders if it's going to be $2 billion, if in 2003 dollars it may be more than that. And his feeling is take some of the monies and continue to upgrade the 3 existing orbiters, and then put all of your dollars, your real hard dollars, the big bucks you need, into a next generation vehicle. But he admitted that any road that they take is going to be difficult in these economic times.
Of course, $2 billion would probably just be starters if you're talking about a whole new generation of vehicles. CNN's John Zarella at Kennedy Space Center. Thanks very much for those insights. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Logical next step, even as this investigation just gets underway.
Well, first of all, we can't jump to any hasty conclusions, and we've got to determine whether policies that are existing led to the demise of the shuttle, or what steps we should take to prevent that in the future. But we'll have an inquiry in the House. The Senate will have a similar inquiry. We have the internal and external panels inquiring, and so we're going to have a lot of questions that have to be answered. But as we go forward, we're going forward knowing that first and foremost in everybody's mind is safety, and safety has not been compromised. As a matter of fact, Congress has consistently driven the issue. Once again, repeating every time the witnesses from NASA have come before us, We've always focused on safety. And quite frankly, from the other side, they too have focused on safety. I noticed NASA's...
The other side of that is that you'll hear a lot of people at NASA say that Congress over the years has been a bit parsimonious when it comes to NASA's request to spend some real money upgrading that space shuttle fleet so it's good to last as long as it has lasted. It wasn't supposed to fly as many years as it has, and the money to keep it flying maybe hasn't been there, has it?
Well, yes, it has, as a matter of fact. Keep in mind that Columbia was geared for 100 missions. It was flying its 28th mission. The mission before last, it was in for a complete overhaul. It was actually disassembled part by part, checked very thoroughly, the electrical systems, the structural systems, and then reassembled. And Congress has constantly emphasized the importance of safety. I'm reading here from a hearing last February we had when I directly asked the administrator, can you give this committee assurance that this is not going to compromise safety? That is, they're talking about cutting some of the money for the shuttle upgrade. And his response was, yes, sir, absolutely, by all means. There has been very limited suggestion, if any, that safety has been compromised. Even the NASA safety panel, the chairman of that said, the concern is not for the present flight or the next one or even the one after that. The concern is long range, the anticipated deterioration because of the technology. But we're not talking about existing or immediately future meetings. We're talking about long range. And as we deal with the shuttle upgrade, some of the delays in the shuttle upgrade have been as a result of management, as a result of going back to the drawing board to try to perfect something that's proposed. But there's been no suggestion from any quarter that compromise on this mission safety on this mission was compromised in any way.
Well, let me ask you this, Congressman Bullard. Is it high time, and obviously what comes out of this will have some bearing on how this debate is shaped, but isn't it high time to think about a new generation of some kind of space vehicles to carry human beings to space? And NASA doesn't have a very good track record coming up with ideas in this regard. We have to tell it like it is in that respect. But do you think out of the ashes of Columbia there will be some new initiative, a reasonable initiative, to come up with a new vehicle?
I do. I think the next generation vehicle has to be proposed, but they've got to be very specific on what they're proposing and what the costs are projected to be. And then we've got to make some really hard policy decisions. Should we continue with the human space exploration as we're now doing it? Some would argue that you can have space exploration with robots, with machines. You don't need people in space. I don't happen to share that point of view, but there are some people who make that argument. The fact of the matter is we have a new administrator of NASA, just on the job a little more than a year. NASA has always had very high marks in terms of technological competence. It's been somewhat questionable and spotty in terms of financial management. We have a new guy on the job, and he has a good track record in the past in his previous jobs, and we're hoping that he can get the culture changed so that the financial management will match the technical competence. But I have very great confidence in the long-range future of the space program and the great benefit it brings not just to the United States, but to all mankind.
Just briefly, do you think they'll have to at least temporarily abandon the space station?
No, the space station won't be abandoned. We have 3 astronauts up there right now. They're safe until at least June. We have a means for getting them out of the space station. As a matter of fact, the space station could essentially operate for a time on automatic pilot without anyone operating it. But we don't foresee that need at this juncture. But no one knows. The shuttle program is now abandoned, but our international partners, the Russians, have sent up the Soyuz to resupply that station. But I'm led to believe that the resupplying will last the astronauts about to June. Then they're going to have to come back to Earth because of the long time they've been up there suspended in space and the impact on them. So we'll get them back, and there's no indication that they're in jeopardy.
Representative Sherwood Bullard, who is the chairman of the House Science and Technology Committee, joining us live from Utica, New York. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you.